Hello, BookTube. I'm back with another book tag. It's original by Steve Donahue called the Coronavirus Book Tag. I've tried to do this a few times, and as luck would have it, I've got a cough, and it's a chesty cough. It's not coronavirus. It always happens this time of the year because I have asthma, and I do have breathing issues. So it's a general thing that happens at this time of the year. But I thought I'd do the tag, or at least try to do it again. If it doesn't work this time, then I won't be doing it. Number one, Misleading Initial Reporting, a book that turned out to be very different, not necessarily worse, than first you heard of it. Well, this one is worse. I was all geared up for it when I heard of this book because I thought, oh, this is just fantastic. Oh, I couldn't wait to get it. I thought, oh, well, I got to wait till payday. It's just a, fairly new fiction book. And I looked on Amazon and it was just dirt cheap. Like it was only like £6 or £7. So I figured, oh, I grabbed it, got it the next day, started reading it. Got in like 5 pages and go, oh yeah, this is really good because there was some dialogue that was really, really good. Then it fell apart. What I'm talking about is Shadowplay by Joseph O'Connor. It's set in London, late 1800s, up until, there's flash forwards, flashbacks, and whatever. Lyceum Theatre, Henry Irving, Ellen Terry, and Bram Stoker. It's just a golden combination there. And as I say, the only thing that I found from it was the few spots in it where Henry Irving and Bram Stoker go at it verbally, and they're just sort of pecking at each other, And those are fantastic. I could just picture it, and those were really good. But the narrative structure just did not work for me. I know what I think he was trying to do. He was trying to emulate at times what was in Dracula, but he just couldn't do it. He just didn't do it. It's too jarring. It wouldn't work because you don't know what's going on at times, and then it takes you a little bit to backtrack, and it's just no, it just I know I am in the minority with this. Everybody seems to love this book. The praise on the back, even from an author that I do know that I follow on Twitter. But it didn't work for me. Let's put it that way. Number two, Harsh Containment Measures, a book of one type that's impossible to hand to a reader of other types. Bonus points if you've actually tried. Now, this is a science fiction novel, a massive science fiction novel. It's Samuel R. Delany's Dahlgren. It's, I don't know, it's over 800, it could be 1,000 pages long. 30 years, I think, since I read it. I loved it, and I recommended it to a few other people that I thought were science fiction types. They started reading it, and they thought I was insane. Let's put it this way. If you haven't read it, I'm not going to go into too much detail, because I don't remember the details myself. But what I remember is it's trippy. That's how I describe it. It's trippy. It's strange and trippy. It's odd and trippy. Not what you'd expect and trippy. See where I'm going here. It's trippy. It's about the easiest way that I can describe it. But I utterly loved it, even though, I came from loving Golden Age science fiction, and this is more sort of the new wave, later science fiction, but it's a different type of science fiction, and Samuel R. Delany just handled it wonderfully. there's parts in there that are controversial. Yeah, but it works. But the two people that I suggested it to did not think so. They thought I was insane. They were offended, actually, by a few scenes, but, well, that's another matter. Number 3, Intense Communicability, a book that will work its magic on anybody. What comes to mind is Elizabeth von Arnim's Enchanted April. It's one of those books that a lot of people try to categorize books. Oh, that's a guy's book. You know, that's a girly book. That's whatever. That's a kid's book. That's a whatever. And I know a lot of people that thought similar things with Enchanted April. That it's like chick lit, and that's the sort of current term for that. But even before, they were saying, "Oh, it's a girl's book." And when they read it, they were blown away, like I was. It's just a fantastic book. So I think that is a book that I think can charm almost everybody that reads it. If you have an interest in reading and you have any kind of emotion and a heart and sense of adventure, wanting a vacation, yeah, it'll work. Number 4, Serious Mortality Rate, a book with significantly noticeable body count. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. The Vorlons vaporizing Earth for hyperspace freeway. Yep, billions of people gone in a blink of an eye. I think that would count as serious mortality rate. Quarantine Prep. 5 books or series you'd want with you under house confinement. Now, I was going to say the complete works of P.G. Wodehouse, but I can't really because it's not a set or series. So we'll put those aside for the moment. C.P. Snow, Stranger and Brothers, definitely, because that's been on my mind the last few days. And I just did a video about the books, or the brief overview. And I've read it 3 times already, and with each time it gets deeper and deeper. I love it. So I do want to read it again. The other ones are, this one is Mysteries of London. It's by George W.M. Reynolds, and it's based on the Mysteries of Paris. There's Mysteries of New York. There's Mysteries of other cities as well. I'd love to collect them all and read them. This is volume 1 of 2. It was done in the Penny Dreadfuls. This is 1,200 pages. The other volume's the same size. So we're talking like 2,300, almost 2,400 pages. And this is only the first part of the whole series. There is another series called The Courts of London. And I keep looking occasionally to try to track it down. But I think the complete part, the second part, The Courts of London, is much bigger than this. It could be 3,000 or 4,000 pages, because it just continued on. It even continued on, I believe, without George W.M. Reynolds. So that would keep me busy for a while. But I would have to have the Courts of London on PDF or something else like a Kindle. And yes, I do have a Kindle. Just keep that quiet. I don't want everybody to know. But I don't generally read books on there. I'll read a few PDFs. Anyway. I have a Kindle. Enough said. We'll never mention it again. Another one is 7-volume Cambridge History of the Book in Britain. This is volume 1. They're about 800 pages each. And that will keep you busy for a little bit. and the complete Three Musketeers cycle. I've got the newly translated volumes by Lawrence Ellsworth. I haven't dipped into these yet. This is something I want to get to this year. He's going to go through the whole series, from what I understand. But if I do have a containment, and I have to contain myself and hibernate for a while, I'll have to stick with my older translations for the most part, for the rest of the series. Another set is, I mentioned occasionally that I like looking at and reading 19th century sort of histories of England, or older ones as well. And one I found was William Henry Hartpole's William Henry Hartpole Lecky's Britain and Ireland in the 18th century. And then later he culled and rewrote, I think, a 4 or 5 volume of just Ireland in the 18th century. But we'll just take the England or Britain in the 18th century. It's like 8 or 9 big volumes, and I'd love to sink my teeth in and get that read at some point. So I think that's 5. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 5. That's 5 books, or 5 series. Yeah, there is no individual book. Okay, so 5 series. 6, Repeat Infection, a book that is even more effective on the second time around. Well, C.P. Snow's Strangers and Brothers. As I said, 3 times, and I want to read it again. The only problem is I'm trying to resist that because there's about 3,000 pages there, and I'll disappear for quite a while, and will read until I'm finished again. I'm trying to resist that until I really do have enough time that I can do that in quiet contemplation and do this again, because that's how much I like it. And every time I read it, it gets better. And yeah, so that's the one that comes to mind. Number 7, Effective Prevention. What are some of the ways you prevent bookish infection when you've read a couple of lousy books in a row and want to turn it around, etc.? I mentioned P.G. Wodehouse. That's what I used to always use. I haven't used him for a while, though. But I would definitely pick up either some of his short stories or a novel and just, read that through, and that would just sort of pick up my reading again, and sort of clear my mind of whatever else that I've read. I sometimes get that just from reading academic material. It's not that it's bad, it's just dry as dust at times, and I need something else. What I do now is I read a lot of short stories. I'll read, right now I'm going through the Irish RM by Somerville and Ross. I read the first volume quickly because I was reading like 1 story a day, so it took me, I think there's 10 or 11 stories in it, so it took me 10 days to do it. And the second volume I'm reading, maybe if I'm lucky, a story a week, so I haven't made much headway in that. And then I'll go to a Rumpel story, possibly. Others, I got a whole bunch of short story collections for that reason. Or something like this. It's Ballads of Books. It's edited by Andrew Lang, the fairy tale Andrew Lang, but he was also a poet. I've got a complete set of his poetry. But this is a collection of poetry about books. So, and I always find that fun just to open up and read occasionally. And essays is another one. I always return to some favorite essays. There is Andrew Lang, A.C. Benson, and for the life of me, I can't remember of another one that I really like. And I mentioned Ireland because I think he was he was trying to get home rule, I think, in the turn of the century, 20th century. I know I can't remember, but there like Arnold Bennett. There's a collection of essays and articles that he did that I can go back and enjoy and reread. So those are the types of things that definitely will cleanse my palate, I guess, as Steve Donahue had said, because I think everybody needs something. Because if you read one thing too much or just one subject, sometimes it just you get tired of it, and you need to move on to something else and then return to it. But yeah, so that's the coronavirus book tag, and I might have more. Well, not that I have more time. I've got this week off, but as of next Monday, I will be working from home. They are very scared at work. I do, as I mentioned, I have asthma. Breathing difficulties, so they don't want anybody off sick, basically. So if they keep me out of there, if anybody else gets sick with something, then I won't catch it, or that's the idea. I do catch things because I probably am I could be possibly developing a chest infection at the moment, but that's just normal for me for the year, this time of the year, and I'll just have to see the doctor about it. It's not anything out of the ordinary for me. But I will be working from home, which in some ways I will be, so I won't be going out much at all. I generally don't anyway. I just went to work. So I will be house confined for the near future to a certain extent. But I do plan on going to a bookshop possibly the end of this week. So I will be getting out. Yeah, that'll be it. I don't know if there'll be any other book tags out there. I've done, I think, the most interesting ones that I've seen. But anyway, we'll leave it there, BookTube. We're approaching 18 minutes, and that's more than enough for this one. I will talk to you later. Bye.